All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Elon Podcast Live. It's spooky season. So we're going to have a cool little chat today. We're going to talk about aliens. It's me, Ellie, special guest, Tiff, it's like Xavier. But we have Xavier with us, Xavier Lopez. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad to finally be here and chat about this.
Yeah, I'm
We're
excited.
counting down on the day.
Right. So we've been following each other for like the longest. So I think it's always so cool when I connect with people and I'm actually talking with people I've been like following online, like on Instagram and stuff like that. I just think it's always so cool and so funny because it's like you have a voice. You actually move.
I'm a real person. It's
You're
not just memes.
right, not just me. Okay. But yeah, anyway, so how's everybody's October and spooky season going so far?
It's been Mine has been good. It's been very exhausting at times because I'm always on the go, but everything has been like cohesively good. There's been no bad moments so far, so I'm excited about that. How about you guys?
Good. I've been okay. I will say like my last week was like very trying. So this week I'm just trying to like whew, woosah and just have like a chill week. It's like it was the eclipse last Saturday, and then it's also I think it's Mercury retrograde as well. So I feel like it's so much energy going on right now, and this is like the time to where you just have to learn how to balance and just be chill. So that's what I'm doing this week. But overall, good. You, Ellie?
No, today is a great day. I woke up. I'm happy. I'm grateful and thankful. I did have to cuss the bitch out, but that's okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not something I usually do, but she asked for it with her attitude. Other than that, the day is great. I'm very grateful and thankful. Happy to be here.
Okay, awesome. So I want to get into it. Let's talk about aliens. I love talking about aliens because I consider myself a certified alien. I'm an alien.
I
So,
got my X-Files hat ready.
oh my gosh, I didn't notice that. Okay, I see that at spouse. Okay, we love that. Little alien face. I got tattoo. I don't know if you guys can see. Yeah, look at my little alien face tattoo.
So cute.
Thank you. Yeah. So aliens. So like, what are your opinions on aliens? Because first of all, I believe they're real. I mean, I always have. I mean, we live in a big universe. I can't just say that only humans are in this whole universe. So you guys, let's talk about it.
Well, the government just kind of, came out and said that, aliens are real. And it looked like nobody cared because we already knew that. Um, I think that I don't know. I'm eager to meet them and see what it's all about. Like, who's the good aliens, who's the bad aliens, what's the overall objective? Because Jupiter Ascending, the movie, really hit a nerve with me, and I only watched it once. I only watched that movie one time, but it hit such a strong nerve with me about us being like cattle for like aliens, like our existence, our soul, our spirit being like cattle for them to like feed off of. And that hit a nerve with me. So I'm just like a little bit unsure of what to think about um, us like appropriating what is being done to us ourselves, like in a sense of like if we're cattle and we have cattle, it's just like blowing my mind. I don't know. I think that I feel kind of better that aliens are here, if if to be honest, because I feel like a lot of situations right now environmentally makes us appear stupid because we're really destroying, we're like literally cancer to the earth. So it kind of like bugs me. So like us being like having someone else, a superior being here to like either guide us, hopefully. Um, I feel a little bit better about that. I don't know. It just makes sense to me. It's like we should have a source of super being that can help us like keep going forward with humanity instead of repeating the same thing that society has done for centuries.
Yeah. I see that. Xavier, what are you thinking?
I like that take. No, it's just the concept of the government finally, not only the U.S. government, but like governments around the world finally disclosing UFO sightings. I feel like people have always, even if it's not been publicly, have always talked about flying objects and different paranormal phenomena like throughout history. But I feel the government is probably only saying it because they're covering something else up. But like on a personal note of our experiences with aliens, and even whether it's been through dreams, whether it's been like a feeling or whatever, I definitely feel and know that they're real. I just feel like we're conditioned to assume it's supposed to be and feel and appear a certain way. I feel like the same way, like we're all from different like origins. I feel like different types of species or frequencies are kind of shown to humans or present themselves to humans in different forms and for different reasons. So there can be like the good and bad, but the same way with animals, the same way with humans, like from all walks of life, like that could be anyone. So it's interesting, like throughout all the craziness and all the ways that governments and like spiritual practices like hide and try to micromanage what the mass media gets to see, that now all of a sudden globally they're trying to like
Yeah,
little by little share, you know? It's
yeah,
interesting the balance of those ideas.
yeah. I always feel like there are like good and bad aliens. I've always thought this. So sometimes it's like, what are there? What if there are like superhero aliens who are like trying to make sure the Earth is good, and then you have like the villain aliens who are like trying to destroy Earth, but then like the good aliens are trying to save us. That's like a funny concept. But then also I just feel like also they could just really just be living amongst us on a daily basis. Like I feel like they've been already walking, like we experience them in different forms, or maybe they shapeshift. I don't know. But so Xavier, I know you've had like encounters. Can you talk about your encounters?
Let me start a freaking book club about this. So I've had encounters since I was actually very young.
Yeah.
And I used to think that I was just having nightmares. So after a while, I stopped like expressing what I was going through and experiencing. Cause like, obviously, if you're that young, most times parents are like,
Yeah.
you're just having a bad dream. Like, stop watching TV so late or whatever. And it wasn't until my great grandmother was passing that she always claimed that she got abducted. And what was a funny thing is that nobody ever believed her. She's like, they didn't look green. They looked like men, but they were telepathically talking to me. Mind you, she's only speaking in Spanish. So
Oh,
everyone's like, this crazy old lady, like the fuck, like this is not true. She's just, you know, probably spiraling because she's gonna die. Like we're in the hospital knowing she's gonna die. So I remember she was like staring at me saying the story, and she stopped saying the story for years. And she's like looking right at me in the hospital. I'm just like, the fuck? After she passes, I started having the dreams again. And I ironically, like I would wake up with like bruises on my body. I would have dreams where I was levitating and like heavily astral projecting. And I was like, what the fuck kind of scary shit is this? And I remember there was this one year one of my girlfriends came over, and like we used to always have like movie night, like me and the girls. And we started watching The Fourth Kind for the very first time. I mentioned this under one of your posts.
yeah, yeah.
And like, you know, like any other scary movie, you just typically watch it to watch it. And I remember specifically there was a scene where there was an owl turning its head and the camera zooms into the time, which is 3:33. And my one of my girls was like, isn't that the time you always wake up from like those trippy dreams? And like all the hairs on my arm stood up. I'm like, that's fucking weird. And then just the connection to like that and all the stuff happening. There was a time moving fast forward into the present where I was hearing like a hovering sound over my house
Hmm.
for like a few years actually. And every time I would say, I'm like, it's not the pool outside, it's not the AC, it's like I hear it. And I would tell my parents about it. And it wasn't until my great uncle came to visit from Florida that he was like, "Is someone working on your roof?" Every night I keep, like, midday tonight, I keep hearing something over the house. My mom was like, "Okay, like maybe it's something, like the attic or whatever." Then I went to a psychic, and I clearly did not disclose because, as spiritual as I am, I'm very skeptical too, and I question everything. So she was like, "What do you want to know?" I'm like, "Just tell me what you think I need to hear. I'm not explaining anything. You're not knowing my zodiac sign, my age, my race, if I'm single, dating, what job I have. Like, you do your job." So she mentioned a few things and gifts that I have. Of then one specific one was she described the sound I was hearing over my house
Mm.
and explained how, like, the way that we look at the earth and planets isn't actually completely factual. She went down to talking about NASA. She went down to talking about, like, the different dimensions and certain people that are attuned differently being able to be hyper aware to these things. When she, like, literally voiced out the sound I was hearing, I was like, I'm not fucking crazy, but this shit is crazy. Now my mom finally hears it. I'm like, oh, but those past 3 years I was a fucking crazy. Yeah. So plenty of weird shit that I've experienced, down to dreaming stuff and seeing it on the news like following week. And I'm like, now, so when I was crazy when I was saying it, now it's on the news. So bunch of weird. Yeah. But it's cool.
Yeah, it's cool because it's like there's so much that we don't like see that's going on around us in the spirit realm and everything like that that a lot of people don't even really understand. And I just think it's so cool. Like I love talking about the supernatural stuff that we can't see and things like that. So, how was that psychic encounter for you in general? Like besides like her reaffirming that, like how was that for you?
Um, I think it was one, like, final distinct reading that I got
Hmm.
that kind of blew my mind because she had no idea who I was, and I was very firm on having the boundary of not expressing things. Because I remember the first time I got Reiki done, instead of like visualizing trees and stuff, like, I was astral projecting and I saw, like, certain beings, which I thought was just like the idea or concept of energy. But the person who is doing my reading was very descriptive of, like, they don't call it extraterrestrial, they call it terrestrial because it's like all, like, it's always around. We just can't always see it, you know? But I knew that person. Then another spiritual friend, same thing. But with that psychic lady, down to the describing the sound, I was just like, I was gagged. I was like,
Yeah.
it was a good experience though, because I took the thoughts of schizophrenia jokes that I even make and be like, like, people around the world are always like on YouTube or in history books for experiencing either spiritual phenomena, like metaphysical things, and that's always worshipped and studied. But when we ourselves go through experiences, we're always looked at as like crazy for experiencing these things. And it's cool to know that other people are more expressive about their experiences, so it's not just a figment of our imagination or science fiction, like, it's actually real.
Yeah, no, for sure. 'Cause like I've heard before that they have so many documents, and I've seen some that there are documents of all this stuff that's happened. But of course, I guess they feel like they want to keep things a secret, but then they also know like if we know all of this information, they feel like we're gonna go crazy or something like that. But it's just so I don't know. I just feel like it's neat. But like you also talking about when you were like a kid and how like they were in the form of like men and just talking through like um telepathy, yeah, and all of that. I just think that's really cool. And I'm also wondering, like, with the UFOs and abductions, like, so do you guys believe in all of that?
I believe in it to an extent. Well, not an extent, but different as what the mass media projects it to be. Because I felt like you could physically, obviously, we could physically get abducted by humans or aliens, but I
Right.
feel also by traveling and astral projection and outer body experiences, I feel like if these aliens are being able to travel from light years away physically on the ship, or having that much power, it could also be telepathic.
Mm,
So they don't even have to physically be on this planet, or they also can be physically on this planet, but because of the frequency level of how advanced their attunement and alignment is, and how they could manipulate that, it could all be like in our heads. And I also think the concept of spirits, ghosts, or whatever, or angels or demons or whatever, it's just another way of describing terrestrial beings, because it's like there can be good and bad depending on the frequency, and they could either help you, or there's down to exorcisms.
yeah,
We have no solid proof of like what it is, just that it's bad.
right.
And yeah, I think there's now, like when you look at History Channel and certain podcasts and certain videos online, like now they're starting to talk about it. But it's interesting that there was such a time gap where they separated the two. And now like science, politics, and spirituality is all like layered. And
Yeah,
I think it's important that it is, because it's really kind of unexplainable.
yeah, very.
I feel like when you just what you just said, how do I explain this? So like I feel like it's a disillusion, if that's even a word. Like I feel like when we think about our for example, all right, let me put it this way. So like everything we say is considered magic, like our words are spells, right? And
Yeah,
I feel like in the world we do not see, things are happening every time we open our mouth.
yeah,
And I feel like if you are angry, if you're sad, if you're happy, whatever your frequency is, those entities attach to you. I
mm,
strongly feel like so no matter, so really you are the devil and the god of your own life.
yeah,
And I feel like the words that you use and the way you choose to tell your story shapes that reality for you, because of the conviction that you feel with the emotions that you display of the words that chose to use. So I strongly feel like we just got to be careful with the words that we say, and like what we're thinking, our thoughts, more now than ever, because I feel like the whole idea of spiritual warfare, people are really attuning to that now, the idea of it, and understanding it on a deeper level, even scientifically. Because I mean, if frequency can change our mood, our being, our physicality in itself, then I feel like um the spiritual warfare has now really touched down in 3D. So whatever we deem these entities to be, they will appropriate in our reality, if that makes sense. So whether we see them as like aliens, or just, because technically they are aliens, if they're like existing in our 3D, they're like um extraterrestrial beings that just happen to come forth. But I think it's based off of what we choose to accept as our reality.
mm-hmm.
It just been based off of what you was just saying, Xavier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I just feel like we just create our own realities, our personal, like we're like the creator of our stories, our personal stories. This is a collective consciousness, so we all kind of like add to that. I was thinking about that earlier actually, because it's like a lot of things that are like big in the world are like just a factor of all of our thoughts together. And that's why when you have like the news and TVs and stuff like that, and you have some people who, that's why when people say like the news control people, they really do, because you'll have like the people who are really so consumed with the news, and they have these connotations and these opinions. Sometimes they don't even really believe it, but then that can create fear, and then that just have like a level of control. And then when it comes to like, assumptions and manifestations and stuff like that, then that's when other people don't even understand how they're just creating this reality. So we all have a part in creating all of this. So even when we talk about the supernatural and stuff, it's like we're all creating it in different ways too, in the level of communication. Ellie, have you
Yeah.
ever, I never talked to you about that. Have you ever had any encounter?
Extraterrestrial encounters?
Yeah.
Just spiritual encounters. Nothing extraterrestrial. I think that's very interesting, because to be honest with you, like I only hear like the abduction and encounters like that from Caucasians. I never hear it from other people of color or melanated people in general. So it's pretty interesting. Like it's very much so intrigued me when you talk about your grandmother and stuff. Are you there? Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people of color, whether it's being Hispanic, being Black, being any type of Indian or Asian, they are typically known for speaking of these experiences as just spiritual because it's mainly religious based. So anything that's a super outrageous experience, that's the only way comprehensible to talk about. Um, I know being mixed with Puerto Rican, like a lot of places in Puerto Rico used to be used like in military bases, and that's what they would go by and say. And they did a lot of experiments on like pregnant women, for example, and there was a lot of weird UFO sightings that they just never really wanted to publicly go about and speak. Like that's happening everywhere now. Um, so I think it's cool. Like even though you don't hear a lot of stories about Puerto Rico unless it's politics now.
Right.
And even in urban communities like in the East Coast, like anyone that's predominantly Black or Hispanic, like they don't talk about it unless it's amongst themselves. So it's kind of weird. Like there's been so many people in my family that little by little, like, you start reminiscing about old family stories. And every so often there's always like a new family member, like talking about how they would live in the mountains in Puerto Rico and wait for like the bus stop growing up and their experience with extraterrestrials. And I'm like, why the fuck are we talking about this now? And not years ago. But it's cool that like a lot more people than you think have experienced it.
Yeah.
And whether it's fear based or they just feel like people aren't going to believe them or that they're going to sound crazy. A lot of people don't talk about it. So it is predominantly the white people that have these conversations, but I think it happens around the world. Like,
Did you grow up in Puerto Rico?
oh no, I'm mixed. So I grew up in Connecticut.
Motion detected at the Blink doorbell.
Wait a minute. No, I was just watching this thing last night before I went to bed about Connecticut. What was it? Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Hold on. Hold on. It's in my
Oh my
history.
gosh, you know what I want to watch? What's the movie Signs? I haven't watched that in so long. That's what I want to watch.
With the foil hat.
Yes,
Show?
yes. And then you know that creepy that scene whenever like it's on the TV, like from like the news, and then like you just see a shot of like an alien like walk like through like an alley or something.
Yeah. Hold on 1 second.
Guys,
Okay.
okay. So I want to have to send a new link.
Okay.
Xavier, do you have time?
No, I got Xavier, sorry.
Yeah, of course.
I have a
Okay.
question.
I think it takes like 9 minutes, so I'll let you know when it's sent for sure, Xavier. I'll message you. Okay.
Okay.
So wait, you know Dudleytown in Connecticut?
Dudleytown?
Dudley, Dudley. Go look
No.
it up. Dudl. Okay, so Dudleytown is basically this town in Connecticut. And so the Dudleys are a family that moved from the UK. They moved from the UK and started their life and existence over here during colonization, and they settled in Connecticut. The reason there's a problem is because when they were over there in the UK, they tried to basically do treason to Henry VIII. And with that happening, basically Henry VIII and their dynasty cursed their family. So when they came over here and started Dudley, Connecticut, that town in itself, and joined it and started to formulate it, everything started going into hysteria. And people were like going crazy. The mental health was off. People were killing themselves. People were just acting very erratic. And basically, that's the one town that has shut down as basically a ghost town in Connecticut to this day. And it's like basically it's owned by like a few families, and there's like a no trespassing, even though people still go there and make their YouTube, TikTok videos. It's like a no trespassing, and they say like there's no birds, there's no bugs, there's nothing. It's like silent. So it's like going in like a sound booth and hearing nothing when you walk into that town. So like I'm always like not obsessed, but I'm always curious about like places on this earth that are like, you know, the Bermuda Triangle type of vibe. It takes you to another dimension and stuff like that, because it's just like, how can we both be living the same reality and like there's another dimension like right there.
I've never heard of that town specifically, but I know a lot of places in New England in general are haunted or have different, you know, phenomena. Like I've been saying, I like that word, but I feel like there's this one spot near not my great grandmother, like I was telling you about, but her daughter, which is my mom's mom, my grandmother. She ironically also seen a UFO during broad daylight when she was younger, but moving forward to like I want to say the last 6 years, she has a condo and right in the like it's not even the town. I want to say like you know how like there's like a neighborhood which would be like 3 blocks. You could tell everybody knows the same turns and everything, and then the next neighborhood over, so it's still the same town. Is like 5 minutes driving, but like it's a different neighborhood. If you get what I mean.
Yeah.
So it's abandoned and nobody can go in and it's gated and nobody's ever tried to break anything down or renovate. Like it's been vacant for years. So me and my mom always joked that it was haunted. We're like, it's haunted or some weird shit. And during the pandemic, you know, like hardly anybody's outside. And unless it like was work or grocery or gas related. And my grandmother kept saying that she kept hearing like noises and it wasn't within the house. It was like nearby, like in the freak that town. I'm like, nobody's been there for years. Like that's what we make a joke, it's haunted. So I'm like, you probably are hearing whatever energy is still trapped there. So instead of being silent like Dudley Town,
Dudley, Dudley.
Dud. See, I'm writing this down so I can study later.
I literally watched this last night. Like literally, it like caught my attention. Like I saw a video on TikTok about it, and I was like, let me see if there's a good YouTube video on it. And I just went down because there's another town like that in Pennsylvania, and they say it's based off of Silent Hill, where like the town had to flee because, long story short, just the whole town had like a fire underneath the ground, and it was like causing things to heat up terribly and like causing sinkholes and just basically catastrophe.
Oh my gosh, sinkholes, that is scary. Like to think about. That scares the shit out of me. I don't know, like a month ago, I was thinking about sinkholes or like, you know, like the sand pits and stuff like that, and that scares the shit out of me to think about it.
There's so many here.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
There's so many here. It'd be freaking to just slide over it and like, don't take me down. Don't take me down with it.
Xavier, have you had any like encounters with like ghosts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fortunately for me, you know, I swear I always joke and say I'm the walking X-Files because I've just experienced so much weird shit, and it's to the point where like now I've normalized the reality of it. Like every now and again, no matter where I am, lights will flicker around me. Broad daylight. It's not even in the middle of the night or when a bulb needs to change. Like it's all the time. It could be Walmart, my house, like company could be over. I could be alone. So now I don't get spooked. But there was one time when I was younger that I had cousins over at my grandparents' house, and like it was like all the guys were having a sleepover again. And I was the youngest, and in the middle of the night, I've always had trouble sleeping, so I would always wake up throughout my sleep. Like whether it was a weird dream, a good dream, a scary dream, like I was always waking up out of my sleep. So that night specifically, I saw what was like a shadow, like the silhouette, so of a person, and it had a fedora hat and a jacket, and it was like walking up towards me like ominously. And I remember freaking out. But then the next day, I thought it was like a double dream because I started having those young, and I was like, you know what? Let me not mention anything about it.
Color was his eyes.
What color was his eyes?
It wasn't necessarily a color, but the only part of the face I could see was the shape.
Of his eyes. That's okay. Oh my God. I literally just talked about this in
We
the
talked about this in a recent
Oh
chat.
my God. Yes. No, it's the man with the hat, the fedora hat. It's the
Yeah.
same.
Yes.
And he has a trench coat on. He has a trench coat on. He'd be in the corner and he would just be staring you down like mean
And so
bugging.
you started walking up.
Ooh. I don't know because let me tell you something. I closed my eyes and started praying because
I did the same thing as a kid.
you were frozen, right? You couldn't move, right?
Huh?
Could you move?
I
I couldn't
could not.
either. I was
the
frozen.
same guy because you said in the last chat
I
that
told you.
talked
I
about
told you.
no,
It's
but this has
real.
happened to more than like different people around the world, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It happened to
me.
multiple people in my family.
Oh no.
Could you hear me?
Come back.
Repeat that.
Could you hear me?
Yeah.
Now I do. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the point. The next day, I was speaking to my cousin and we were on our way to like this amusement park. And my great aunt was taking all the cousins because we lived in different states. So like it was like a good like it wasn't even a family reunion. It was just like around the summertime, like most of the family travels to Connecticut because most of us from the US are here. So my cousin was like a teenager. I was a little kid. So he was like, why the hell were you waking me up saying that you were seeing something? I didn't see shit. And then I was like, wait, so I did see that because I was awake waking him up. I thought it was a dream.
Yeah.
And I told my mom about it when she came later on in the evening to pick me up. And she was like, was it in the basement? She's like, that happened to me when I was a teenager.
What?
And then, yeah, so this is when I was a kid. Mind you, my mom said she saw the same thing, same shadows, same movement. It was like staring, and then it went to try to grab her. Literally 2 years ago. So this is what I must have been like 6 or 7. This is over 20 years ago now. My great aunt that brought us to the thing came over and because she lives in Florida now. And she was asking me for like a tarot reading, and like we were having one after, and we were just talking, and we were just saying like crazy family stories. And I mentioned this story of when I was a kid, et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, actually, you were there. She's like, wait, did he look like? I didn't even just start describing the person yet. I just said there was a figure, and I started like beginning the story. She's like, was it the man with the shadow man with the hat? I said, no, bitch. This man is haunting my family. Like everybody, I went online to Google like a reference, and that's the same image a lot of people have seen.
That I just can't. That's amazing.
Like, does anybody know the origin? Like, where the hell did he come from?
I never cared to read. That's one. As much as I'm not scared of shit, that's one I never cared to really research. I'm like, because even when I got Reiki once, the guy explained that.
Oh, what?
I didn't mention it.
What did he say about him?
He said it's not necessarily bad, but it's not good. Its frequency is different, but you're one of the people it's very intrigued by, and every so many years it comes back.
Oh,
You not know that Smith?
I said, if you haunted me, could you haunt my pockets and make them grow? Like
exactly, like right.
Because I don't get I don't like being stared at by people. Like I always get the creep. Because I personally feel certain people like us that are very aware is not that. Like obviously there's certain people that are just weird and they look like humans do that. But I feel like certain times when people stare, my brain automatically goes to like the X-Files and like the Illuminati and Pizzagate. And I feel like I talk about these things so much to the point where pre-pandemic, I had thousands of videos saved on YouTube about like the Illuminati, the Rothschilds, flat earth theories, extraterrestrials, like, there's so many sub conversations, but like, it's all like conspiracy, right? Then I moved to New York for a few years. I started getting Scientology pamphlets sent to me. And the agency that I worked for, apparently the manager of my agency, who I was close with at the time, was a Scientologist. And he was slowly trying to get me into that shit. I'm like, I quit that agency. I'm like, I'm not modeling for this agency. It was really creepy and sketchy. And as soon as I moved back to Connecticut, Like I would wake up drenched in sweat, like screaming out of my dreams, like if I was a little kid.
Really?
I'm a grown ass adult at this time, and now I have none of those videos on YouTube. They're all gone. Like those accounts don't exist anymore.
Oh wow.
So I'm just like, should be weird. And we always seem crazy. We're like, this is the video or this is the experience that is like it ceases to exist anymore.
That's creepy as hell. I'm sorry. Like, but
That's
the
wild.
thing still creeps me out because Ellie, even when you talk about it, that creeps me out. But like just knowing that this figure like haunts other people around the world, it's like where did this frequency originate from and where like how is he just coming into everybody's spaces like that? Like,
I think he's a jinn. He must be a jinn. And I feel like I relate the jinn to like Agent Smith from The Matrix. I feel like he's a jinn, so he's been here since the beginning of time. But he knows it.
oh, not the
It
pod.
knows because it's not like a gender.
You don't want us to talk about it.
Because you're a pause and we were like, you don't want us to talk about it.
Oh no, I said genderless, jinn or genderless, and I feel like he is sent to like read us, like read our frequency as children because we're pure at that time, you know? And like he freezes us to really see what we're gonna develop into, to see where we are on the scale of this plane of reality. Because seeing that there's so many stories about it and it's the same time thing every time. The fact that you just said the fedora, you didn't say the trench coat, but like he always has the trench coat to me and the fedora on, and you see the shape and the hollowness of his eyes. But his eyes, and to me, were red or like a dark red, burgundy-ish almost, that were like piercing. So I mean, just different variations of the same thing from all over the world is phenomenal. It blows my mind because I'm like, why would he visit people like similar people? Like obviously like, you know what? I'm off of it. We both seen it. It is what it is. I want to know something about you. Can we talk about your spiritual gifts? Like, what spiritual gifts do you feel like you are coming into or have already that you've always had, if you feel comfortable talking about it?
Of course, I'm a Leo. I'm comfortable talking about it. Oh, so I had the dreams of premonitions since I was a kid, like before I could speak. And my mom even says, like, before you could speak, like you were aware, like when people would talk about anything spiritual, like you would bring like the Bible around. You were even speaking ABC, Goo Goo Gaga, like you just would climb up and grab stuff. Being able to have that and the foresight in the future, I used to think I was fucking crazy. Like I remember very early on having nightmares of someone dying that I didn't see for years. And exactly how I saw it happen, they died. I've had astral projection. I used to be like, why am I always floating? And I end up seeing like, I want to say between third and fourth realm, like that fourth wall type experience where like I could either be having a dream as a person and it's not me, but I'm seeing everything that happens. And even if it's not bad, if it's good situations, it would happen. And that still happens to date. Um, Now it's a simple awareness. Like I know when people are going to say stuff certain times, and it's not something that is like on command. It just happens randomly, like where I would just get certain messages and I'm not scared about it or anxious. I used to go through a lot of anxiety like in my teenage years because it strongly was like accelerating. Um and yeah, now I don't have any fear towards experiences that I have. It's more like a deep understanding and I how like, yo, I was when I hear like people who are shamans or certain types of readers or different spiritual practice that are unorthodox and they're like, oh, I do this. I'm like, oh, I've always done that. Like I thought that was just me. I didn't realize like that's actually practiced. So I find the coolest thing of all of these conversations that I just feel a sense of calmness and like a community. Like we all live in different space. At least I know I live in a different space than you guys, but having these conversations is cool knowing like
Yeah,
you're not the only one. You're not going crazy. Like this is actually real.
right.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I feel like I know like only like a few people who have so many encounters with like just the spirit realm, otherworldly type of natures, and it's just so interesting when I think about everybody's experience because there are like some similarities, but everybody's experience is so different of how they experience things, and it just makes me wonder like how is all of this happening? I just love questioning like just everything in the world, how it happens, and we all know. I feel like we all add to that, but then I think about the origin of us as people on the earth and what's been going on for like centuries and decades, and it's just like a lot of this is like was a lot of this created by humans in our minds, and then it just grew because of our consciousness or where they're like just some people or some entities that just already started or originated and just have been here.
Mhm. I just asked that question and then listened to his answer. It just made me sad as crap because I'm just like, at least you have your gifts and you understand them and you can use them to your best effort. God, I'm just like really sad. That just made me so sad. I'm sorry.
Why? Oh my gosh. Then it's like, Ellie, why did it freeze? Because I
The
want
energy shifting how to, because it's like my gift is basically like exposing people their flaws, their things that the things in the closet that they don't want to talk about. And I can see through it when I look into anybody's eyes. I can see through anybody, and it doesn't bother me because I don't judge. I don't care. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. I have everyone has things, you know, in their closet or just things that are hard to judge. But I'm just like, I hope sooner than later, like I'm able to deal with like
this keeps cutting out. Ellie,
Things the energy.
yeah, maybe. Gosh. So I really wanted to hear that, but oh, then it just exited out. Well, damn. Well, guys, well, that's very supernatural, very, yeah. Maybe it wasn't meant to be said on here, maybe?
Maybe it either wasn't meant to be said, or it seems like from the outside looking in that there's more than just that gift, and
Mm,
it could be a lot more powerful, and he probably might not comprehend how to access it and tap into it, or just simply comprehend it without seeming overwhelmed. So
yeah.
that could be a huge thing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, whoa, damn. It's no, it's just like, oh, the conversation, just how it all just shifted and transpired just now. It's just, yeah, that's interesting. Okay. Well, maybe I guess we can just end it on that note. I feel like that was like a little cool, spooky, cool, but well, Ellie's back. We'll see. But yeah, we'll see.
Is it loading?
Yeah. Okay. Hmm. Peter,
So
are you drawing? What are you doing? What have you been doing this whole
I'm
time?
always drawing.
Drawing?
I was just gonna show you. That's funny. I've been doodling us here, the Shadow Man, the aliens, this whole time.
Oh shit.
Ghost. I was writing notes of the town he was talking about.
Oh my, you're so cool. I was like, what is it you're doing?
I doodle at work. I doodle in the class. Like,
Yeah, because your work is so cool, like online, like your artwork is so cool. And I can just tell that you're an actor.
I feel like I create because there's certain times where I can't express anything but to express it in artwork.
I like
And
that.
thank you. I appreciate that. It's weird. Like,
No, no, because I understand that. Like being like a creative, I feel like sometimes I have like trouble with like I want to express myself and I have so many different type of sides to me. And I'm in this face. Well, hello. That's like a scary movie type of pose, like you're looking in the camera.
Who,
Ellie.
me?
No, Ellie. No, I just looked down at Ellie. Do you see Ellie? And then I just saw that her head just creeped in the camera, and I was like, oh well, damn.
I just finally see it. But
Ellie, are you
no.
the connections are having so many issues, but I
Hear
guess.
me?
Now, yeah.
I know you hear him. Shut up. Just shut up.
Not.
Lay down.
Xavier, show Ellie.
Okay, go
No,
ahead. Just go ahead.
no, show Ellie. So
No, I saw the picture he
oh, you did.
drew.
Oh, you did see.
Okay.
I saw the picture he drew, so that was the man, right?
Yeah. I was drawing him before we even brought him up, which is a funny thing.
What, really?
Yeah. And I had
You
the dog
drew
in
him
the
before, you know. He has the trench coat on. You drew the trench coat.
Yeah.
He has the trench coat on. You drew the trench coat without even
Yeah.
thinking about it. See? I told you. Like, he looks the same everywhere. That's wild.
You know what's funny? Like, I didn't finish school for psychology, but that's what I was studying. And my big thing was before I even knew there were people who did Reiki and like spiritual pullings and all of that. I wanted to study psychology so I could speak to either children and do like artwork through therapy to get like what they're experiencing, because that's like I would comprehend it that way, or study people who have schizophrenia in asylums and make artwork and make like characters based off, like loosely based off of their stories. And it's kind of interesting that like a lot of times, obviously when I draw my erotic artwork, that's because I'm thinking of a visual or a concept. But when I'm just doodling, like whatever, so like even beyond subconsciously, it's like super consciously, I'll just be like randomly just illustrating random bullshit. And then when it clicks the conversation, I'm like, what the fuck? Because I drew that before we said it.
Yeah.
So let's pull the conversation in that direction for a second about your artwork, because now I realize exactly who you are in the pictures I've been seeing. You'll catch that follow later, but no, I remember now. I know, like I went to school for art myself, and I have my degree in studio art, which is focused in drawing and painting, blah blah blah, and communications. But mainly for you, where do you see yourself evolving to as an artist? Because like you're already very good. You already have like you already arouse. You already arouse with your, erotica type of art. So where do you want to take that? What is the objective with your art in the future?
In the future, pretty much I would like to ideally take my visual artwork onto like canvas, because I haven't done that in years. But I want to get into sculpting and go beyond just like an illustration of an image. I want, like, for me personally, I love interior design, so I would like to have an interior design collection. I want to start online because I do not want a store. But I feel like the home for me is more than just a habitat. It's like the rib cage and foundation of who you are in that element. And when I look at certain sculptures and I look at certain leathers and metals and woods, and it's not that there has to be a literal sculpture of a naked body. Like, obviously I want to do that as well. But when I look at the certain like round shapes and the ruggedness and textures and depth, I find a certain like, not only the stereotypical Zen, but like I find a really good sensual concept when it comes to decor and just the ways, like I feel like that vulnerable element of being in someone's home really adds a different layer of who they are. the way that they lay fabrics or books or furniture around color palettes. So as an artist, I want to really dive deep into that. And also for a business side, like I feel like whether you're going to IKEA or you're going to like a luxury furniture store, like everyone ideally needs something for their home if they're not, you know what I mean, like whether it's seasonal or whatever. So that's a big project visually. And then when it comes to a fashion side, I want to create certain like custom pieces that can be visualized beyond just photos, like whether it's for music videos or for cinematography. And just like when you look at certain film, like a big part of that film, aside from the lighting and the architecture and decor, is like what a character development is based on like what they're wearing. So it's beyond a brand name and more like the artwork of it. So those are two like physical things that I want to start working on and become very successful, like just knowing that I could create that.
Okay. No,
So,
I hear that. I love that. I'll be looking out for it. We will both will. The
Yeah.
podcast will be
I appreciate
dope. Very
So
dope.
what are your plans with music? So you're really close with Jay Lang, and you guys have a song together. You have your own single. So where are you with music?
So with music, I write a lot of times it's through freestyle, whether it's vocal or rapping. But I grew up playing instruments when it was a nerdy thing to do, and now that's like cool shit. But I am really picky with what I put out. That's honestly why I've only those two records that are out are only because Jay forced me to
Yeah.
release them. Because I was trying to hold them for dear life. I'm like, the sounds are good, but it's not my sound. So I want to find a good engineer and find someone that is good not only with experimenting with actual instruments, but with different like techniques electronically to create a sound for me. Like I very much so am heavily influenced by multimedia and film. So I would definitely dive deep in being like my own creative director for visuals. But same thing for instruments, because I used to play instruments growing up, and I'm also a writer. So just being so hands on to stuff sometimes is difficult. While being like that's a vulnerable thing. I feel like with my visual art, I'm like, this is what I do. Visual art is up to interpretation. Music is either you like it or you don't.
Yeah.
You know. So really trying to find like what I'm comfortable with performing, writing, releasing has been a big thing. So visuals, like you always see a fashion piece, you always see like something that I'm hands-on creating, but I may never show as much music as I do visual arts. That's something that like even if I'm creating a lot, I don't show people. But I now moving forward, I'm looking. I've contacted a cool producer that is a friend of a friend, and I've just been trying to find good time to actually get in the studio to like release actual music. It's been
Yeah.
a long 3 years.
Yeah.
It's been a
Yeah.
long 3 years. Like,
Yeah, I was wondering. That's cool. And just hearing about you and all that you do and everything. Like, when you see someone online and you don't really communicate as much besides what you see online, that's all you see is what you see. But when you actually talk to somebody like we're doing now and understanding more of the vision, I'm like, okay. Yeah.
thank
So
you. I appreciate that.
yeah, yeah.
I
And
don't like to show like vulnerable sides.
yeah, you don't.
Online.
You don't.
I'm really private.
Which it's funny because you're a Leo, right?
Yeah.
Because you guys like attention usually, right?
I think my Pisces moon is a good balance.
Ah,
And what's your so
what's your
your
so
sun?
What's my what?
Your
you
sun
about to ask it. Go ahead.
My sun sign is Leo. My moon is Pisces. My rising is Aries. My Lilith is Taurus. My Venus is Virgo. It's a good balance.
Yeah.
That actually is a pretty good balance if you think about it, because you just had everybody up in there. No, he did. Like, I mean, I don't know what Virgo in love would be. That's interesting. I just was
It's
talking to a
very
Virgo
hyper
guy.
analytical. It's weird.
Weird.
Yeah. I was talking to a Virgo guy and I didn't like it. Like, I don't know what his other signs were. His sun sign was Virgo. He's very bitchy. I had too
But
much attitude, too
Venus
much
in
anger.
Virgo and Sun
Like,
in Virgo are different.
right. No, that's what I'm saying. So, like, it's interesting to see what Venus would be in Virgo. My Venus is Libra. My Venus is Libra. It's the only Libra I have in my chart, though.
You see, I forgot what my Venus is because I'm in a Aquarius, Gemini moon, Leo rising, Pisces sun. I've just forgot my Venus. Now I'm interested. What's my Venus?
She has the cusp, yeah.
Oh yeah, you always say that. I'm a Pisces cusp. I am. I do have that in my charts. I'm learning about that now. I never really understood that until now. Now I'm understanding what that is. But now I need to. I forget. What is my? I don't know. Whatever. That's for another day. Whatever. Anyways.
Xavier, what do you think my sign is? What do you think my sign is, Xavier?
Well, placement. Can I get a hint?
My son.
Yeah, what placement? Like earth, air, fire, water.
Water.
Cancer?
That's my match.
Pisces. No.
Damn.
You're a
No.
Pisces. Scorpio?
Mm. Yes.
That's it?
I'm Scorpio.
Okay.
Now, am I?
Yeah, I listened. I was like, wait.
October?
That's...
Am I October Scorpio or November Scorpio?
I can't tell them apart.
You can't tell them apart. Oh no, there's a big difference.
I don't think I have been around as many Scorpios to know the difference. I've had one Scorpio in my life that was in my life for like 2 years. We were actually dating, and that's the only Scorpio that I really know like in depth. You know, to have that prior knowledge. So, and it's been so long ago, I don't remember the birthday because that was years ago.
So yeah, I grew up in the Lions Den. My mom's a Leo, my grandmother was a Leo, my brother's a Leo. So I grew up in the Lions Den, and like I already know how every aspect of y'all, all the divisions of the type of Leos you are. Like you have some really good Leos, and then you have some Leos that are just very extra and not so nice and can be detrimental to your mental health. But you definitely fall into the same category as my mama. That's so funny. It's cool. I like that.
I appreciate that. I always get mixed reads when people find out I'm a Leo. They're like, people will either be like confused, like really, and other people follow stereotypes. I'm like, what I'm posting that are memes is not my personality. That's just shit that I find funny. You know.
Hey.
You know. I think a lot of people get conditioned and think that like stuff online is reality and it's not.
Right.
But honestly, same. Even people who aren't Leo placements in my family like have a Leo placement. My mom's a Cancer. Her moon is Leo. My brother's a Capricorn. His rising is Leo. My dad's a Leo. My aunt is a Leo. My grandfather's a Leo. Two of my cousins are Leos. It's a lot of Leo energy.
That's a lot of cat. That's a lot of cat.
Yeah, but it's a lot of like laid back power. It's not like in your face attention.
Oh, so they're more okay. That's my mom. She's more of a laid back, chill Leo. Yeah. She's like not in your face, but she's observing everything. Yeah, and she knows. She's very self-aware of everything. Guys. No, but I love Leos, even though some of them don't love me. What's going on? Why are you saying, guys?
I just want to say, everyone, that was nice. It was a great chat, but we gotta go. Our chat. So thank you, Xavier.
Until next time.
And until next time, be great.